Being not of Taiwanese descent, was it difficult for you?
Actually, there's a cool expat community over there, and we uh, we went to American school,
Oh, okay, right, right.
international school.
So you mix with American kids.
Yeah, and it was great. Be honest with you, I wish I had gone to at least a year or two of Chinese school. That way, my Mandarin would have been a lot more fluent.
You do speak Mandarin though,
I
right?
speak a little bit, but a lot of the American community out there, they'll send their kids to like a preschool and kindergarten Chinese just to get that background and then send them to the American school afterwards. And I think that's a great idea.
And as you was growing up as a kid, when you looked forward and you were dreaming in your bed when you're there alone, what is it that you wanted to be when you were growing up career-wise?
Interesting. When I grew up, my father was out there doing international trade, trading fabrics, textiles, and I remember that telex machine going off in the middle of the night, and that was always an exciting thing for the family when the telex started jumping up and
Right.
down because it meant he was getting some sort of order, and order meant good money coming in for
Yeah.
the family. So yeah, so I just wanted to be in international trade and be a businessman like my dad, kind of be an entrepreneur. That's what I wanted to do.
It's funny because my dad's not a very loving, caring dad. Not that he doesn't want to be, but it's just the
Old
way.
school, yeah.
Old school, you got it. And I wanted for my kids to want to be like my dad because I never wanted to be like my dad. What was your relationship with? Because you lost him, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I lost my dad. I actually lost both my parents, I'd say about 15 years ago. But Pops was real hard on me growing up. That's kind of the way his parents were on him. Loving, but at the same time, real, like, kind of harsh and strict. And, for the most part, I was, mischievous character, but a good kid. And I just was one of those guys that didn't like to study a lot in school. I did pretty decent in school, even though I didn't put much studying in, and that went on through college. So, um, and I feel like I never really pushed myself. My little brother was a little more into the books, and he went to MIT and did very well over there. But yeah, just Pops, and it's interesting because he was brutal early on, and then somehow later on in life, he gave up drinking and just all of a sudden became like a real peace type of guy. His pleasure was just hanging out in the garden and building tomatoes and avocados, and that was just his love all of a sudden.
I saw exactly the same thing with my granddad. He was a real bad egg, and then all of a sudden he stopped drinking, and this new beautiful guy came up. And I see it with my dad as they get older. It's almost like they see how other people raise their kids, and they change a little bit. And it's quite beautiful, actually.
Well, I think the world is just getting more educated. Just like how poker's evolved so much, parenting and just the way people educate their children and bring up their kids it's just getting all around better. You see in the news just yesterday about how Saudi Arabia, they're starting to allow women to drive and everything. And for us, it's just madness.
It is
But it's just a step towards I just think the betterment of the world. Just this thing of women and men being treated equally, and when somebody goes and looks at their company as a CEO and sees, hey, you know what, the men in my company are getting paid more than the women, and our old school thinking is like, well, shoot, a lot of the women have to, be there for the kids and everything. So it just seems to make sense that the men should. But hey, we can get beyond this. We don't have to have these preconceived, notions from old school. And I just like seeing just in my 47 years old, I'm younger, older, whatever, but it's just watching the world just improve, and us in America trying to make ourselves a better community.